I never thought my life would take me here, sitting in a flickering booth at a nowhere-town convenience store, armed with nothing but a half-broken register, a stack of scratch-off tickets, and a list of rules that didn't make sense. When I say rules, I don't mean dress codes or boring guidelines about customer service. I mean actual survival instructions. The kind that sound like urban legends, except they aren't. They're the only reason I'm still breathing. My first night started simple enough. The manager, Mr. Gray, didn't give me a tour or shake my hand. He just slid a laminated sheet across the counter. The paper was greasy, corners bent, edges torn from years of use. Printed in bold letters at the top, night shift rules. I thought he was joking. I even laughed. But Mr. Gray didn't laugh back. He just stared at me with hollow eyes, like he was waiting for me to realize something. Then he said, "Read them. Follow them. If you don't, you won't last the week." At first, I thought it was some creepy hazing ritual. But by the end of my first shift, I knew the truth. Rule 1, don't look at the man by the ice machine. It was about 1:30 in the morning when I noticed him. A tall figure standing by the ice machine outside, half in shadow. He wasn't buying anything. He wasn't moving at all. Just standing there. I thought maybe he was a drunk or some tweaker hanging around. I stepped toward the door, ready to ask if he needed help. That's when I remembered the first rule, written in all caps, do not look at the man by the ice machine. I froze. My hand hovered over the door handle, and I forced myself back behind the counter. From the corner of my eye, I could still see him, tall, still, watching. The hardest part was not looking. Every instinct screamed at me to check if he was still there, but I didn't. I kept my eyes locked on the register, on the candy racks, anywhere but him. At exactly 2 a.m., I blinked, and the man was gone. The ice machine door was open, dripping frost like someone had ripped it wide. But there was no one in sight. Rule 2, if the soda fountain starts pouring on its own, don't stop it. Around 2:15, I heard it, the hiss and gurgle of the soda fountain behind me. The levers weren't being touched, but the nozzles were streaming cola onto the floor, dark puddles spreading across the tiles. I rushed over, instinctively reaching to shut it off. But another rule flashed in my head, if the soda fountain starts pouring on its own, let it. So I stopped. I let the sticky drink flood the counter, drip onto the floor, spill until my shoes stuck when I walked. It finally stopped after 2 minutes. The store was silent again. The mess looked ridiculous, like a prank. But when I bent to grab the mop, I noticed something in the pool of soda. Reflections. Faces. Pale, stretched faces, mouths open in silent screams. They weren't mine. I dropped the mop and didn't clean until sunrise. Rule 3, don't trust the customer in the red hoodie. At 3 a.m., the bell above the door chimed. A guy stepped in, average height, pale, wearing a red hoodie with the strings pulled tight around his face. He smiled too wide. His teeth were small and perfect, like they'd been carved. "Do you sell gas?" he asked, voice too flat. I nodded, pointed him toward the pump outside. He walked out. Didn't buy anything. Didn't even pump gas. He just circled the pump, slow, like a shark. The rules screamed in my head, if a man in a red hoodie comes in, don't trust him. When I looked again, he was staring through the glass, smile stretching wider than before. My stomach dropped. I ducked behind the counter, heart slamming. When I finally peeked again, he was gone. The pump stood empty. But on the glass door, smeared in fog, were words written with a finger, "See you tomorrow." Rule 4, never go into the walk-in cooler alone. Every store has a walk-in cooler. Ours rattles, groans, and hums like something is alive inside it. The rule sheet was blunt: never enter the cooler alone. But one night, I broke it. I thought I'd be quick, just grab a case of soda. The door slammed behind me, lights flickered, and the cold grew unbearable.
I turned, but the racks weren't racks anymore. They stretched into darkness, shelves bending like a maze. And at the end of the aisle stood something tall. Pale. Eyes black holes. I screamed and shoved the door with everything I had. Somehow, it opened. I stumbled out, gasping, collapsing on the tiles. The cooler door sealed shut behind me. It hasn't opened since.
Rule 5: if the radio plays static, don't tune it. Around 3:45 a.m., the store radio hissed alive. Static, crackling like a storm. I thought maybe a station bleeding through. I reached to change it. Then I remembered the rule. I froze, hand shaking over the dial. In the static, I heard whispers. My name. Over and over. Daniel. Daniel, come outside. I yanked the plug from the wall. The radio went dead. But the whispers didn't stop. They lingered, faint, drifting from the aisles. When morning came, the radio was plugged back in, playing soft country like nothing happened. Rule 6: if you hear knocking from the bathroom, don't answer. The bathroom at the back of the store is always locked at night. Customers aren't supposed to use it. But sometimes, after 4 a.m., you hear knocking. That night, it started soft. Tap. Tap. Then louder. Fists pounding the door. Hello, a voice called. Please let me out. It sounded human. Desperate. I wanted to open it. God, I wanted to. But the rule burned in my mind. I gripped the counter until my knuckles went white. The knocking turned to scratching. Nails dragging across the wood. Then silence. When morning came, I checked. The bathroom was spotless. But on the inside of the door, scratched deep into the wood, were the words, "Thank you." Rule 7: don't check the cameras after 5 a.m. Most of my shift was spent watching the monitors. But the rule said, never check the cameras after 5 a.m. One morning, curiosity won. At 5:03, I flipped the feed. What I saw wasn't the store. It was me. Sitting at the counter. Except I wasn't breathing. My head lolled, eyes glassy, blood pooling across the floor. I tore the plug from the wall. The screens went black. When the next shift arrived, I said nothing. Rule 8: leave before sunrise. The final rule was the simplest: leave before sunrise. I never understood why until my 5th night. I lingered. Just a few minutes late. The sun started to rise, light spilling across the parking lot. Every window turned black. Not tinted. Not shadowed. Just black, like the glass was gone, replaced by holes in the world. From inside the windows, hands pressed against the emptiness. Pale, thin, reaching for me. I ran. I didn't stop until I hit my car, speeding away, tires screeching. I never went back. The paycheck sits uncashed in my drawer, the rule sheet folded next to it. But some nights, when the wind howls, I swear I hear soda pouring on its own. Or whispers in the static of my phone. And I know the rules weren't just for the store. Backhand index pointing right. Drop a comment. Would you last one night in that store, or quit before the shift even started? Smash subscribe if you'd even try.